earlier today. Dr. Deonandan, thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure. That tweet got a lot of attention, more than I
Yeah, it gives
expected.
me no joy to say this, but Ontario schools should remain closed until several weeks into January, at least if for no other reason that there will otherwise be so many exposures instantly that almost every student will have to isolate anyway, administratively and tenable. And this goes back to some things you were saying to us on CTV Ottawa a couple of days ago about maybe it's time to change the isolation requirements because a lot of places, not just schools, are struggling to staff their workplaces.
Yeah, and I think the government is probably considering that right now for schools, and so this administrative barrier may be taken off the table. But there's more than just an administrative issue here. There's also the epidemiology. We have about 1 million kids in Ontario who either can't be or aren't vaccinated, kids under 11. And this disease being so hypercontagious, if we open schools without additional controls in place, they're all going to get exposed within a matter of weeks. And a large number of those exposures will result in infection. And because they're unvaccinated, a not non-meaningful proportion are going to be hospitalized. So I'm deeply concerned about that.
That's what we're seeing in the States, right? In New York, they were saying that the number of kids in hospital is at the highest level they've seen in the pandemic.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, think about it. If 1 million kids unvaccinated, if 1% of those end up hospitalized, that's 10,000. If half a percent, that's 5,000. If just 500 end up hospitalized in a matter of a handful of weeks, that's way too many. So we're playing with fire here, and I think it behooves us to slow things down and consider our options before throwing the doors wide open.
I mean, we're not seeing evidence of that in our hospitals here now, but do you think we are still weeks away from really seeing the full impact of this kind of exposure rate and what that may mean for our hospital numbers?
It all comes down to who it's affecting. If it's affecting unvaccinated people, absolutely. Right now, the unvaccinated children are well uh, protected because they're home over the holidays. If the elementary schools go back in person, I'm a little scared that they're going to be unprotected and exposed. The mildness of Omicron is due almost entirely to the fact that the number of breakthrough infections amongst the vaccinated is high, and the vaccinated are far less likely to be hospitalized. It's this unvaccinated child population that terrifies me. I don't want to expose them yet.
Okay, so do you close down the elementary schools, have the younger kids learn online, and let the high school kids go back? Is that an option?
I'm more comfortable with that at least. If that's the only option we take, then that's probably a good way to go. It doesn't solve the problem of healthcare work, rather educational workers having to be isolated because we haven't changed the isolation protocols. I don't know how much rapid testing capacity we have to overlay onto this problem. If we can throw all our rapid testing at the problem and just keep the truly infectious people out of the system, maybe we can manage it. But I'm assuming that's an option the government is going with, and I think that's a possible way forward.
I feel like parents and students alike may be better able to handle this kind of a decision and approach it if they know there's an end date. What would you say? Is this for the month of January, for a couple of weeks till we get over the hump, or how long would you think that schools would need to be closed down to escape the worst of it?
Yeah, that's a dangerous question because people want guarantees, and I can't offer guarantees. I can only offer probabilities. This wave, being so high and so intense, is also going to be short. It's probably going to peak sometime in January or early February and come down quickly after that. So at the most, we're looking into February. But I think close until near the end of January is probably good enough.
And what are your thoughts, just quickly, before we're coming up to the top of the hour here, on isolation requirements and what they did, the Centers for Disease Control saying go down to 5 days for people who test positive but don't have symptoms because they're most likely contagious even before the onset of symptoms. Anyway, is that something like that tenable, or is that a way too drastic move, what they're doing down in the States?
My objection isn't to the shortening of the period. My objection is to the removal of the testing requirement. That's what the CDC has done. So long as you're asymptomatic, and it's been a few days since you tested positive, and so long as you get 2 negative rapid tests 24 hours apart, I'm fine with you re-entering society. But that negative test is critical.
All right. It will be interesting to watch over the coming weeks. I'm sure we will be talking to you again, Dr. Raywat Deonandan. Thank you, as always, for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.